Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Means Report. So glad that you are spending part of your day with us, and we are privileged to welcome back the governor of the great state of Georgia. You know, Governor Brian Kemp came to us just days before his inauguration, and now we want to kind of do that 6-month check to see how things are going in Atlanta and beyond for the governor and his team, including the economic outlook. What does the future potentially hold for the Peach State? And you know, new laws kicked in Georgia just a few short days ago as of July 1. We'll cover that and much, much more with Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp. And Governor Kemp, I'm so grateful to you for coming back. I guess things went well the first time.
Oh, it did. Great to be back on with you. Yeah, no, we've been off to a roaring start. Had a great session. I know we're going to talk about that, historic in many ways, so we're very excited about that. And it's great to be back in the CSRA today.
Well, we're glad that you're here. And how was your 4th? I saw you went back home, Grand Marshal of the parade in Athens.
Yeah, actually Colbert, Georgia.
Colbert, excuse me, forgive me.
Well, it's a little small community, but it was the 50th year I've been in there when I was campaigning for the legislature. It's a great tradition there, great people, and had a good time, a lot of fun. So we had a great 4th. It was it was really a great 4th of July holiday.
President Trump's 4th of July celebration up in D.C. took some heat. Some opponents said they didn't like that it cost so much. I thought it turned out okay.
Yeah, look, I mean, Colbert's wasn't quite that big, but we still had a good time. But look, I think it's great for our country to celebrate its independence and its birthday, if you will, and certainly the focus in Washington, as it was in Colbert and many other places around our state, was focused on the men and women who are serving us in the military, first responders, a way to thank those folks that are putting it on the line every day to keep us safe and give us the freedoms that we have to do celebrations like that. So I thought it was a great weekend.
How's it been so far? Is being governor what you expected? Your thoughts on these first 6 months?
It's really been great. Very busy, but I pretty much expected that. I don't think there's anything that really has caught us off guard through the transition, moving into session so quickly after that. We had probably one of the most productive sessions that we've had in a very long time. I'm very thankful to the local legislative delegation for their support. When you think about our budget, we did some historic things. Certainly one of those was the largest teacher pay raise in state history, which was well needed. We're losing 44% of our teachers in the first 5 years. They're leaving the system. That's a problem for suburban districts, rural districts, and urban districts. So we've gotten great feedback on that. We did the school security grants where every single public school in the whole state of Georgia, over 2,000 of those got a $30,000 grant that they can use complete local control to keep your kids here in the CSRA safe in the classroom, and those that are educating them and doing the administrative work in the schools. We tackled mental health issues in our high schools with double the funding for the APEX program, which is one of the big issues that we see that creates school violence. So we're very proud of that, and many other things. So we had a great session.
Are you comfortable with the funding for all of those things, especially and really in particular teacher pay raises? There were some concerns that there wouldn't be enough money to cover those $3,000 hikes the teachers got. I know a lot of districts handle things locally. It's a formula too complicated for me to understand. But when the state has to cover those raises, will the money be there?
Well, the money is definitely there. The feedback I've gotten is most people are using the full $3,000. That's the way we design the pay raise. The teachers deserve it, and I certainly appreciate the local superintendents and the local school boards that are making that commitment to their educators as we are at the state level. We've had some systems that have actually given more to rank and file workers in the system than the 2% that we put in for the state employee raise as well as the teacher raise. So I think that's sending a strong message out there. I think morale is very high, but we're not done with that. We still have more to do, but we're also focusing now on the amount of testing and other state mandates that are out there. I vetoed a couple of bills that made some legislators unhappy, but I did it because it was going to be an unfunded mandate. It was creating more work for the locals, and there was a better way to address that. Not that I don't support the issue, I just didn't support the way that was done. And folks can know that I'm going to be a local control governor when it comes to education.
Another thing that's kept you very busy since you took office, appointments, putting people on boards and commissions and panels all over the state of Georgia. Half of them, at last check, are women. several are LGBTQ. Is that intentional, Governor Kemp, or are you just picking the best candidates?
No. We're picking the best people to serve on these boards and commissions. I mean, look, it's been a focus of mine when I was in the Secretary of State's office and my private sector businesses, and certainly as governor, to give all people opportunities if they're qualified to do that. I think that's healthy for our state. It's healthy for our economy. It's healthy for these boards to have, good, hardworking Georgians on there that represent, geographic differences across our state, but also different industries and bring different, expertise to these different fields. And I think if you look at our appointments, that's exactly what you're getting. Mm-hmm. I don't really get into other specifics other than these people are qualified for the work that board does, and they have laws that they're following, and they're implementing rules that have an effect on our citizens or the professions that they're practicing in, and that's very important.
It didn't take long for you to make national news when you brought on and signed the heartbeat bill, a bill that bans abortions at the first sign of a heartbeat, maybe 6 weeks into a pregnancy. Recently, as we prepared to tape this, an Ohio judge blocked Ohio's bill, which is similar. You worried about the fate of the heartbeat bill in Georgia?
No, look, I'm not worried. We're a state that values life at the heartbeat. That's what the legislature did this year. We knew full well that the left would not like it, that they would sue us, and that there would be judges that may not agree with this, and that's just a part of the legal process. But we're in this for the long haul. We're a state that supports life not only at the heartbeat, also in many other ways. My wife Marty and I are focused on ending human trafficking in our state. We're working right now for next session on adoption reform, foster care reform. We're focused on going after street gangs, valuing our families' lives that are quite honestly just being disruptive and taken away too early by a bunch of thugs that are either selling bad drugs that are killing our youth, or they're getting shot because they're in some sort of crossfire or get lured into some sort of gang. So we're not going to run away from our values in our state. That's what makes Georgia's great. It's why our business environment's so good and has been a long time. And even for those that disagree with the heartbeat bill, Georgians can know that we value life at many stages.
Where did that come from? Where did it come from in your life? Was it a sermon you heard in church? Was it the way you were brought up where you said, you know what, I'm all about the unborn and their rights?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think it's different for different people. I think for me, science has evolved. I think for a lot of legislators, that's the case as well. We need our state to be thriving and growing, and I just believe that we should give every human being that opportunity to come into this world and know that they're going to be in a state that values that life, and we can do many things and give that life many opportunities, and that's exactly what we're doing in Georgia.
Does it bother you that Hollywood's mad at us?
No, I mean, I'm used to a lot of rhetoric from the left. I think when you look at our film tax credit, we got the best business environment for film and many other things in our state. I've been a huge supporter of that. That's been very clear. The folks that we're talking to that are doing business here, they love the environment. They love the workforce, our state, and previous governors. And I have continued to fund workforce development issues to support the film industry so that they have the workers that they need. The private sector here has, put the capital into capital resources and projects and studios and other things that are here that make us very attractive. That's not going away. Mm-hmm. There may be a few people that say they don't want to come work here, but there's going to be others that are. They have long-term contracts and they're happy with those. And so our focus is on keeping that good business environment, providing the workforce, and not listening to the rhetoric.
Do you need to go out there and meet with the big wigs like Stacey Abrams did, kind of schmooze them, see if they'll change their minds and come over here and like us again?
No, well, I think the folks that are in California that are making the business decisions, they know that we're a good state to be in. They know they're going to continue to do business here. I think they're just having to deal with the politics of some of the actors, and I certainly understand that. But the fundamentals are good. At the end of the day, people are making business decisions. They're not making political ones, mm-hmm. and that's why we're in a very good shape. Just, in the last week, I've seen 2 new films that are going to be shooting here. One of them's Sylvester Stallone.
All right, so we're okay,
We're definitely
movie-wise.
okay. Yeah.
We're talking to Georgia Governor Brian Kemp here on the Means Report. He just returned not too terribly long ago from South Korea. We'll find out about his visit there and that nation's importance to the state of Georgia. The governor of Georgia, our guest, when we come back. Welcome back to the Means Report, where Georgia Governor Brian Kemp is our very special guest today. Governor Kemp, we love South Korea. They pump a lot of money into Georgia. You went down there to try to make sure that relationship is strong. How'd it go?
It went great. We had a great trip. It was very busy. It takes about, 13 to 14 hours to get over there. So it's a long flight, but there's direct flights from right out of Atlanta, which, makes us very attractive to South Korean companies. Many of these individuals that we met with been doing business in Georgia for 15 or 20 years. So we were saying, hello to a lot of old friends. I was also over there making new friends, and also just letting them know that the new governor is going to be a friend to a lot of old friends of ours. And went great. We also met with several prospects while we're over there, so we have a lot of really good deals that we're working on landing for our state. And we celebrated, in their culture, some of the other recent announcements that we've had, like Sanjin Brakes. We went and visited them in Henry County, 200 jobs, state-of-the-art brake technology for, the tractor-trailer industry that is really safety-focused, which is something that I know that our companies and our citizens are glad of. Also, SK Innovations, who's building a huge battery plant in Jackson County, largest foreign investment we've ever had in our state, almost $1.7 billion, 2,000 jobs. I believe it'll be much bigger than that. We were continuing to facilitate that relationship with the company and their leadership. I had a great dinner with them and visits, letting them know that, hey, we're not just going to support you, getting the brown braking going on, or support you until the plant's built. We're going to support you with your workforce needs, and we're going to be ready to continue to support you as you grow and want to expand in the future, which I absolutely believe that they will do. So very excited about our opportunities with South Korean companies. They need to grow in other parts of the world. The U.S. is a very attractive place for them to invest, and we've got great things going for us. We're the #1 state in the country 6 years in a row for business from a site selection standpoint.
Yeah, great place to do business.
Yeah, we got the quick start training programs, our technical colleges, and our higher ed. When you think about research and technology that places like Georgia Tech will provide to that company. So we offer a lot of different things, great logistics. We're right in the heart of where their supplier network is.
I mean, they look at you and they don't see Atlanta, they see the whole state. And they picture you as a representative of the whole state. A lot of people think that Atlanta gets everything, but to hear you describe it, the wealth is spread all over Georgia.
Oh, no doubt about it. And, we have the 3rd largest Korean population in the state of Georgia. So, they're very, they feel very at home when they get to Georgia. They have a lot of resources in the local community for them. But their suppliers are all over the Southeast. And, we're competing very well for that business, and I believe that we'll continue to be able to land more of it in the future, which gives hard-working Georgians a great opportunity to continue to live in our state, for their children to do that, and for their grandchildren as well, and experience that great quality of life that we have here in Georgia.
Healthcare was a big part of your campaign platform. It continues to be a part of your administration here in the early going. How are things going in healthcare? You hear talk about waivers. You hear talk about expanding Medicare in the state of Georgia. How can you update us?
Well, we're here to talk about putting patients first. That's what we got done this year with the Patients First Act. I appreciate the legislative support for that allows us to move forward with 2 different waivers, the 1332 and the 1115. One of them is a Medicaid waiver that will help us fix a broken system to really focus on the things that we need to in our state, which is the blind, aged, disabled, our children, and then issues that we're having a hard time with when you think about mental health, HIV, and other things. You know, how that looks, we're going through that process right now. But we cannot continue to do business the same way we have in the past. It's not working. We've got to have a reform-minded governor. Thankfully, we have a reform-minded president that will give us the ability to seek waivers and let the states be the incubators of democracy, and for us to build a Georgia-based health care plan. We're not worried about, you know, if this is good for, you know, Tennessee or Florida or South Carolina. We want to come up with a system that's good for Georgia, that increases access for our working Georgians and for our people, and lowers cost. And that's what we're doing on both of these waivers. So one of them is for Medicaid, the other one is for Obamacare, that will help you know, do just that.
Some people are hurting right now. Farmers are hurting. We covered Hurricane Michael and its impact last time you were here. There was a report that came out saying farmers' suicide rates are up. People are hurting at the Georgia Pacific Company, the plant you visited today. How can we help make sure that life is better for those who are working so hard for Georgia?
Well, first of all, you know, talking today and going backwards, I mean, that was one reason we went to Thompson today, to visit the folks in McDuffie County, let them know that we're paying attention. We know what happened at Georgia Pacific. We know what has happened with other industries up there. Thankfully, a lot of those folks are getting moved and having other opportunities, but there's some that are not, so we're focused on that. The Georgia Department of Economic Development is focused on that. We will do everything in our power to steer people here, because we know that is a focus, and not just in McDuffie County, but literally in the CSRA region. And I talked to a lot of the folks up there today in McDuffie County and said, look, think regionally. A lot of other communities are doing this. They're open to doing that. I think it gives you better opportunities down the road. But just know that as governor, I'm definitely focused on that. For our farmers, I spent way more time than I should have focused on getting the funding bill passed, working with Senator David Perdue, Senator Isaacson, and other members of our local delegation. I want to thank them for their commitment, for never giving up in a really tough political environment. Unfortunately, that whole debate, quite honestly, was driven by politics. Yeah. And you know, Senator Perdue and I were talking just about every day on that issue, and he was talking to the president. The president's support for the disaster relief bill never wavered, even though there were things in there dealing with Puerto Rico that he found hard to swallow, because he did not want to give up on our farmers and our farm families in South and Southwest Georgia. And we did not either. You know, I used a lot of political capital in every which way that I could to help move the needle on that. And I know Commissioner Gary Black, our Ag Commissioner, Secretary Perdue, our former governor, and U.S. Secretary of Agriculture are now focused on figuring out the quickest way, the most convenient way to get the funding that has passed out to the folks that actually need it. And I have told them all, if there's anything they need that they don't have that we can provide in the governor's executive branch agencies, to let us know, because they need the help down there. I'm very thankful the bill passed. I'm thankful the president signed it so quickly. But now it's time to cut out the federal bureaucracy and do a block grant or something to get the money to the states. I know we can get the money out. Commissioner Black can very quickly if we can just get our hands on it, and the farmers need it.
You know, at the top of the show, I was asking you what it's like to be the governor. Is it what you expected? And I wanted to ask you about how it affects your ability to be a husband and a dad. But part of my question was answered when Mrs. Kemp came into the television station with you today. You talked about human trafficking and her efforts there. She's a key part of your team, and I wanted to acknowledge her.
Oh, look, she is. Marty has been focused on a lot of great issues for our state that you know, are her initiatives, things that she's passionate about. Certainly human trafficking, the Grace Commission that she's put together. I mean, already what she's done in just a few months just to raise awareness on that issue. You know, we talked about it last time I was here before the Super Bowl. But now the real work happens, you know, after the glamour of the Super Bowl and the week of bad things happening and good announcements of feds and states and local folks working together to go after some of these people. Now is where the people that work on this all the time, they're still in the trenches, they're still grinding away, and they need folks in our position to keep that fire burning with the press and educating others. She's been focused on getting companies trained, other state agencies trained on how to look for signs of human trafficking, how you report that. So that is an ongoing battle that she's committed to fighting, as well as the members of the Grace Commission. She's supporting our Georgia Grown businesses and our farmers by promoting the Georgia Grown program. We're serving, whenever possible, Georgia Grown at the mansion, things that were either produced, grown, or made here in the great state of Georgia. So it gives exposure to our entrepreneurs and our farmers, with people literally from all over the world that are coming to the governor's mansion. And she's also had a couple of pet adoption days at the mansion, so we've had literally hundreds of people, or she has, along with our 3 daughters. They've been helping with that as well, bringing pets to get adopted. The last one they had 22, I think it was, pets that got adopted that day, and another, over 20 that are in the queue that hopefully will happen. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but you have some adoption agencies that they're glad to get a pet adopted, once or twice a week.
Yeah, just 1 or 2 they'll take.
So she's committed to a lot of great things. She's doing a fine job as the First Lady.
2 quick questions. One is cyber and the future of Augusta, Georgia. People still see us as the cyber capital, right? Everyone.
Oh, I certainly see it.
Yeah, it's
that
booming.
way. Yeah,
It's not
absolutely.
going anywhere. Your predecessor was a big friend when it came to cyber. You are too, I'm guessing.
No, look, Governor Deal, I think we need to give him a lot of credit for his support for cyber, for supporting the command, for supporting the academy and all the things that are going on over there. That support, will not waver with me as governor. There's been a lot of capital put into that from a financial standpoint. Now we need to take advantage of that. We need to make Augusta the cyber capital of the world, kind of like Columbus is the fintech capital of the world. And one of the things that I want to continue to work on is work with the local community and everything that's going on here in cyber to leverage that with the private sector to keep producing those great paying jobs, keep revitalizing downtown Augusta with great opportunities, and then focus on the other industries that really drive growth and drive our economy. And certainly the healthcare industry is one of them here. But also there's a strong manufacturing base. I'm a governor that is very proud to tell people there's not a daggum thing wrong with taking a job in manufacturing. There's great opportunities in our state. They're higher paying in many areas than they used to be. And so we got a lot of great things going on in the CSRA, and we're going to continue to work hard to keep it that way.
Well, we appreciate your hard work, Governor Kemp, and your time today. Thanks for being our guest.
Great to be back on with you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Governor Brian Kemp, our special guest on the Means Report.